Hey everyone, welcome back. We got another session. We're going to have Adam Tierney come up for a session in a minute. But first, we're going to go over the code of conduct. So AltConf is dedicated to providing a harassment-free conference experience, regardless of gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, race, age, or religion. We do not tolerate harassment of conference participants in any form. Sexual language and imagery is not appropriate for any conference venue, including talks. Conference participants violating these rules may be sanctioned or expelled from the conference at the discretion of the conference organizers. So up next, we have Adam Tierney. Adam is a senior solutions architect at RightPoint. RightPoint is a sponsor of AltConf, so if you didn't pay to get here, give them a hand. Come on. Conferences are expensive, so we love our sponsors. But please welcome Adam.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, we're really happy to be here. My name's Adam. I'm a senior solutions architect at RightPoint, and my pronouns are he, him. Today I wanted to talk to you all about finding the implicit design. So real quick, how did I get here? In just 3.5 years at RightPoint, I've shipped 9 applications. And this is one of the great things about working at RightPoint. We get to work with a bunch of very competent and interesting people. With those folks, we get to build a lot of different products. I've worked with at least 13 designers on those 9 applications. And I've worked with many more on other projects as well. Just a disclaimer here, I love designers. Having built products in RightPoint's design-focused process, I will never go back. A great designer really makes the difference between an exceptional product and a lackluster one. I love designers, but we don't think the same way. So I want to talk about my friend Dave. This is my best guess on how Dave's mind works. I show him some screens. His spider senses tell him whether or not they're working, and then he kind of tweaks some things, and then passes back to my desk, and we repeat. And this is sort of the black box I want to talk about today. Designers think at a very high level. They think about things like brand and mood, user experience and journeys. Developers like myself, by contrast, we tend to think about all the things that can go wrong. We're bogged down in the details. We're thinking about constraints and layout, alignment, spacing, things of that nature. And so the thing that I want to talk about today is what I'm going to call the implicit design. And these are the secret rules that govern the way your designer's thinking about the designs they're giving you and how we can kind of connect this high level to the low level. So this is onboarding. You might be familiar with it. It's a feature that's been in literally every app I've ever worked on. And it's that place that establishes the brand and the kind of how to use the application. You swipe through it and you never read it. And it's super simple, right? It's just a couple of screens. You can breeze right through. No, it's not. I'm here to tell you that onboarding is sneakily one of the most difficult layouts in any application. And let's see why. So Dave is a really great coworker, and so he whipped up this onboarding flow for me, and he put it in Zeppelin. And so I can see all the red lines here, and this is all I need to get going. I can just kind of dive in, right? So I'm going to reach for a UI page view controller, which it seems to me is basically a class designed for onboarding. We'll need some view controllers in there, so we'll call those onboarding pages. And then it looks like Dave's got a nice background image here, so we can do an image view and pin that to the edges. We'll put some buttons on the bottom. We can just anchor those to the bottom. They look nice there. We can throw in some content and that nice little page control. We get that for free, so let's see what Dave has to say. Okay, I can see one thing that isn't quite working here. But that's all right. That'll be a quick fix. And kind of page through here, Dave says that the buttons shouldn't scroll. OK. I'm inclined to agree with him. You know, they're the same on both pages. I think they should probably stay static. So let's go back to the code. So we'll create a container, and or we'll move the buttons out into a container, the page view controller. So that'll keep them static there so we don't get that kind of weird like buttons to buttons transition. And then, it seems like I can't move the page control itself. I'm gonna have to create another container here, and I'll move the buttons out there. And then we'll just shorten up the page view controller, so now the page control will be in the right place. And that doesn't look quite right either. Now the page is clipping at the bottom there. So let's go back to the drawing boards again. I think this page controller is maybe a little bit more trouble than it's worth. So let's just get rid of that. We can achieve the same effect with a scroll view, and we can just handle the page control manually. And that'll give us a little bit more power over that. So I think this looks a little bit better, and hopefully Dave agrees. But Dave is hard to please, and he actually says he's got some new copy from the client. So let's see what that looks like. That's not going to work. So we're getting a little bit of overlap there, so let's go back to the code. OK, I've lost the ability to kind of understand if my content's intersecting because I've moved all that stuff out of the view controller where my content actually lives, right? So I could estimate the distance that those buttons are going to take up, but that feels a little smelly. It's kind of a magic number, and also all it takes is one accessibility setting to kind of bungle that whole approach. That solution's never going to be bulletproof. So let's expose a layout guide. And that's gonna give us the ability to lay out this content relative to its container. I feel pretty good about this. Let's see what Dave says. Dave's got the iPhone super tall. So positioning that content relative to the content below it, that doesn't make sense. So it should be a pretty quick fix. He says the copy should stay towards the top, so I can pin that content to the top, and that should be good. All right, so feeling pretty good about this. I know what this means. New content for page 2. So let's go look at that, and that's not so bad. But Dave's got this keen design sense, right? And he knows that this isn't quite right. He says the baselines of the titles and the tops of the body should align. So, all right, we'll go back to the code. OK, so I'm going to need to align the baselines here. And this content should tend towards the top, but I need to give it room to grow upward. What is this distance going to be? I think you guys can see that this has sort of become a little bit more unwieldy than I initially thought, right? Just diving in with the red lines, I didn't understand all these different rules that Dave had for the way that this should really operate. Here are just a few of the ones we've uncovered. Buttons are anchored to the bottom and don't scroll. Background images are full screen and scroll with content. Title baselines should be aligned. Titles should be at least 20 points from the top and edges. Titles should be as close as possible to sitting on the top quarter of the screen while satisfying the other rules. The list goes on. So I've found that the best way to save yourself from falling into pitfall after pitfall with your designers, kind of assuming you understand where they're coming from, is to ask a bunch of questions. And here are a few of my favorites. How would this look on a super small screen? How would this look on a super tall screen? What happens if the font size is turned up super high? What happens if something goes wrong? What happens if everything goes wrong? And a whole lot more. So let's think about where we came from, this implicit design. The red lines tell us some of the information we need, but it doesn't tell us the whole story. Asking questions around these areas helps understand where the designer's coming from, what their design thinking is for this product, and it helps connect the dots from these high-level ideas with some of these low-level concerns that we have. And so this isn't just going to save you time. It's actually going to make your product feel a lot more cohesive. It makes it feel whole, and it adds that polish between screens that moves it from just being an app to something truly exceptional to work with. So we really value collaboration across teams at RightPoint. We're out in the hallway, just back that way, and we'd love to hear about what you're working on and tell you a little bit about what we do. And if you're interested in collaborating with exceptional designers and developers, we're hiring right now. So come say hey, and also stop by our happy hour. We're having that at 3:30 this afternoon just outside the conference room. So thanks so much for your time.